Hey there, everybody. I think we are live at the moment. Let me take just a second here to check, see if we've got. It was a very last minute idea to do this stream, and so I imagine that we'll have some of you trickling in as it continues. That's just the fun of it. Happy Saturday morning. I hope you're starting out with a good weekend. I want to continue this painting that I started last time. We were going live on YouTube, so I'm going to do that. I do live streams every week, and so all the subscribers at superpeer.com see 2 live streams every week. But then when I have time on weekends, I just forward those to YouTube. So that's what you're seeing now if you're watching from YouTube. But hey, I got my earpiece on, and so those of you who are subscribed on SuperPeer can of course use the little hand raise function. There's a little button on that platform, and so if any of you watching from YouTube are interested, that's a paid subscriber platform that lets you do that and see the additional video lessons every week. But hey, it's good to see all of you here on this beautiful Saturday morning in Arizona, where I am. We have rain, and that is always welcome in Arizona. We're always happy to see rain coming down. I can see comments. If you leave comments, I can look over, read them. I've got my laptop computer behind me, so let me know what you're thinking out there. My goal in this painting, one of the goals, was to try to what's the right word? To implement the different techniques for, what is it? Implement different patterns, real specific patterns for different textures. Like I have in my painting a tree that I want to look fuzzy, a tree that I want to look more metallic, a tree that I want to look more translucent. There's all these different looks, and so it's fun to experiment with what are the characteristics of color and contrast that give us the impression of those textures. So these are wall paints. I'm changing the subject now. These are wall paints, acrylic, latex wall, real good, high quality paint for that matter. It's sometimes difficult to peel off of my little plastic lid here. And so when you see them in these squeeze tubes, it's just because I put them in here. I dumped them out of various paint cans, just house paint cans. I dumped them out of those into these squeeze tubes. Since I'm a mural painter by trade, I just grew to be most comfortable with these. They perform very much like tubes of acrylics, like tubes, but this is oil. But the acrylic tubes, real similar. These just have a little more water in the mix. They move very fast when I'm trying to paint. And I like that. I like to move fast, paint big. And so right now I'm getting colors to do some water. I got black, yellow. I'm gonna put a little bit of orange on there. It's amazing how complete of a landscape you can get with just orange, yellow, black, and white, or red, yellow, black, and white. Really, really very similar results. Okay, those are my colors. I wanted you to see the colors that I'm using, and I'm just going to be, whenever I need a color, I'll just come down here, dip in it, do a little. And for anyone that's not already familiar, this is my workflow. Rinse, quick rinse, not thorough rinse. Wipe the brush, and this keeps the brush sharp, like a chisel. I use that sharp point all the time to get little details. And then after I do that, I go water. I do this just almost every time I go down, and then I do a little dip in the paint. So when you see me going up to the canvas over and over, I don't want to make everybody sick by constantly switching back and forth. I don't want to keep doing that. But when you see me going up to the canvas, I've just come down here, done that little routine, dipped in the paint, and then I come up here and start putting something on there. Let's put a little yellow on our tree. That's just to show you what I'm doing. So you can have a good feel for the workflow. I'll zoom the camera in just a little bit more, and I'm turning around for a moment to see if anybody's hollering at me from the chats. Hey, Camilla's here. Hey, Chase, good to see you, my friend. Good to see the familiar names out there. I'm going to zoom in just a bit. Let's get a closer look at this. And bump that up a little bit. We got to turn this picture into something that looks like something. You know, it at the moment is a kind of it's just a start. Sorry, I'm moving my camera around trying to get a good angle on here. Here, let's go up a little higher. Let's do this. I apologize for the wiggling around here. We're going to try to get this in place. There we go. We'll leave it there. I've got it on this big swivel that I made, and it's all of the attachments are getting kind of loose. So sorry for wiggling the world around there. I want to put some water in my scene, and I don't see any big questions or comments that need addressed right this moment. So I'm going to start painting. I want water. Okay, I've got this mossy rock, and I'm going to put some dark shadows in the front. I want some nice dark shadows down here. And so just making sure, I think my camera's a little bit tilty, but it's going to be okay. All right. We're going to go like this. Put some, boy, what color is under this water? I'm going to put just a tiny bit of orange, and then I'm going to start putting yellows to get like a very, very brown, mossy green. Yellow and black are good for getting a green that's not very green. Okay. So, you know, this is such a old routine for me doing water. And so I hear somebody calling in. So that's the, you know, I'm answering right now. I'm going to connect somebody that is buzzing in from the Super Peer platform. So like I was saying earlier, you can subscribe there if you want to call in and chat and watch 2 of these streams every week. Okay, I hear you. I hear you out there. Give me a second, Camilla. I'm connecting you right now, and we're going to chat in just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of reflection in here. I need some white. I'm going to grab just a little white, and I'm going to see underwater color right here. Let's make underwater color where I have the reflection of this rock, like this. See, I wiggle the brush just to get a little bit of water texture. Then we're going to get more and more reflection back here. I don't know what color the reflection is because I'm real undecided on the on my background. So here, give me a moment. Give me a moment. I'm connecting Camilla. All right, Camilla, I'm about to show you on the screen. I don't want to surprise you. Give me a moment. Hi, I see you there.
Hi.
Your audio is very quiet. Very
Okay.
quiet at the moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry
Yeah,
about that.
I can just barely
Maybe
hear
I
you.
can turn up the sound a bit. There we go.
Yeah, if you can.
Is that better?
That's better. Yeah, I can hear what you're
Okay,
saying.
good. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I just wanted
it's still a little bit.
okay. Well, should I be the moderator today?
If you want to, that's great. Nobody else is trying to do it. Yeah, I'm always happy. I would love for you to do that. You can do it.
Okay.
And I'm not going to be on here long, you know, just enough to throw a few new colors on the painting and have some fun.
Yeah, I just thought it would be easier for you if someone was.
It is easier. It's so much better. It's so much easier. So yeah, that's real helpful if you want to do that. Okay, so how's your day going? It is not morning for you. You're all the way in Denmark.
No,
right?
it's yeah. It's 20 minutes to 6 in the evening.
Yeah. Okay. Very different. And is that Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? I'm trying to imagine the way the world turns.
It is, yeah. Well, I'm now 9 hours in front of you, so it's Saturday.
Okay. It's still Saturday. So we're both enjoying the weekend right now. It's Saturday.
Well, yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Okay. So that means that when we celebrate New Year, you celebrate it before us. You celebrate it first.
Yes.
You get there first. Okay, nice. All right. Well, you got any fun weekend plans?
Well, no, not really. I'm going to work tomorrow, so
Yeah. Okay. I'll
so
probably do a
no.
bunch of work in today too. Yeah. Well, I really enjoy weekends. To me, weekends are like, well, I try to keep them as real important family days. That is very important, but they are, I sound like a workaholic when I say that. I hate the way it sounds, but I catch up on work on weekends.
Yeah.
I don't like
Well,
that. I hate the way it
well,
sounds coming out of my mouth.
usually I'm also self-employed, so I can just manage my day how I want to. So it's not
Yeah, I hear
sometimes
you.
what day is it?
Right. That happens. Yeah, when you're working for yourself, that happens.
Yeah.
You don't have the clock in, clock out Monday through Friday or however the schedule goes. Yeah, it's different.
And I don't have I don't have children and family like that. So yeah. So that's kind of easier for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's going to be kind of a quiet morning because I didn't put the word out in advance because I
No,
didn't
I just
know.
watched my email. Oh, still on? Okay.
There you go. It was like so last minute, and
Yeah.
because I didn't know that I would have time to do this until just this morning when it opened up, and I thought, well, I might as well take advantage of that little bit of time that there is.
Yeah, I think
So
we're around
keep an eye
5.
out for me. I don't think we've got
Yep.
any big comments or questions that are trying to get answered at the moment. So we can just keep having some fun. What am I going to do with this tree? Let's put this. I'm thinking I want to take this tree up a little bit here. I don't want that trunk going down in the foreground of my picture just yet. Yeah, we'll bump it back. See how you take the bottom of something up, it instantly goes back.
Yes.
Just where it's growing from. Okay. So the
But
reflection. So to start, here's go ahead.
how
You're
do
going to
you
ask something right as I started.
Yeah. Well, how do you determine if a picture is magical or not? Is that because of the colors or?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure I know the answer to that one. Yeah. Well, I think that's a little bit more of a philosophical question than a practical one for me. I don't know.
Yeah, because I've wondered that for a long time, because sometimes it looks real, but you can still see it's magical, and I can't find out what does it.
Yeah. And when you say magical, you're like, it's kind of in the realm of fantasy. But
Yeah.
you can do you can do realistic technique, but you can still totally keep the fantasy vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I
Finally
think
a question you can answer. That's good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's a nice compliment to say finally. I feel like I'm in a perpetual state of frustration because of all the questions I can't answer. So thank you. Well, it is something to think about, when you see, well, isn't it, but wouldn't it just be like you're just painting things that you don't normally see? Doesn't it really just boil down to that? I mean, we all kind of once you've seen it, it's no longer fantasy, right? If I painted a Sasquatch, a real vivid, with details that none of us have ever seen. Of course, some people out there have seen a Sasquatch. No offense, I'm not trying to be, but for a lot of us, we'd say that's a fantasy picture. But then once you see one in person, it's no longer a fantasy picture, right? So is it entirely just perception? Maybe that's it.
Well, Chase has a question. Well, Camilla, will you ask Joe if he can look at the pic I just emailed him? maybe like homework, sorta. It doesn't have to
Yeah,
be
okay.
today or
Yeah,
during
sure. We can
class.
look at no, we can look at pictures. I'll paint for a little bit and then we'll look at some pictures. Yeah, I like seeing what people are up to out there. Is that Chase? Chase is
Yeah,
talking about seeing
that's
pictures?
Chase. Yeah.
Okay, good to see you, Chase. I'll look at it for sure. Yeah.
And Jacob wants you to know there's a lot of good comments on YouTube
Oh, nice. Okay, they
for
weren't
today.
not streaming through on this platform where the screen I'm looking at didn't show up. So that's good to know. Thanks for telling me, Jacob. All right, cool. So I'm just trying to piece things together, put a little bit of water on the ground. Whenever I do water, uh, the strategy is always very similar. My underwater, the color you saw when I started, I did the color that's under the water down here where my angle of vision, my line of vision is closest to we say perpendicular, right? Closest to that 90-degree angle. And then, of course, as I look out, the angle of my vision to the water becomes more parallel. And that's when I see more reflection. So it's always a gradient. That underwater color goes lower, reflection colors go higher. I just decide what they are, make a gradient. That's the start. And so here where I have like a dark mossy rock, like this, I'm going to make it not quite as blue. My dark mossy rock, this is not much of a light. Everything in a picture really can be treated like a light. Is it a dim light or is it a bright light? These are the the questions that I ask when I'm trying to do a good job of rendering it all. So we're going to put a rock in here that is not bright. So instead of adding a whole, when I do reflections of these bright colors here, it adds color to my reflection, that gradient I did on the water. But then when I have a dark object, it's not adding a lot of color to the reflection. It's blocking a lot of light from reflecting, rather. And so that's when I just use my underwater color for the reflection. So I'm just putting whatever I want to see under that water in this reflection of this rock. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of my brighter yellows. It was really on the greenish side, and I like the green. It was really like a fluorescent greenish color. Maybe I will just use a touch of blue. I'm going to put blue on my palette here. Go ahead.
Can you explain that again?
Yeah,
I
for
didn't
sure.
get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay. So, painting it is the best way to explain it. Give me a moment to explain it as I'm painting it. Okay. So right now, all I'm doing is just putting I'm changing the colors of my rock just because.
You just have to move the camera.
Oh, did I? I have to move the camera. Is it not on camera? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. Okay, there it is. So this is not to be confused. All this stuff I'm doing on the rock is not to be confused with what I was explaining. I was explaining that as I was painting this rock, I just want the rock to look more natural. It looked kind of blue. And so I'm just modifying the color. So let's not mix up things I'm trying to talk about. But okay, there's my rock. I just wanted a little more earthy color on it. So I took out some of the blue hue, used yellow and black instead of yellow and blue or yellow and green that I used last time. And so this is a very dark object. Relative to the rest of the painting, this is a dark color. So when I do the reflection of this, I mean, let's pretend that I had, well, it is pretty brown. You can see I've got a very brown color in the water. So if I want to have water that's brown, a reflection that's green, well, on this dark green, I'm not going to put a bunch of dark green in the reflection because it's going to look more natural if I just mostly do the underwater color because of how dark it is. See, when we think about it as light instead of paint, we can think about this reflection as being an absence of reflection. You see, because this is a dark shadow. So there's a real absence of reflection down here. So I put
Yes.
my underwater color in here. So maybe in here, I can put my brown color if I want brown, muddy colored water. And I'm not saying there's zero green. Maybe we see a little, but not nearly as much as if we were just mixing paint colors together. When we're thinking about simulating what light does when it mixes, a dark light is hardly seen at all when it mixes with other lights, you know. And so we've got all these bright lights from the background, all of this light green I've got reflecting on my water now. All of that is going to be so much stronger in my picture, or in any natural picture for that matter, than the dark color. So when I'm doing this, to summarize what I'm trying to say, when I am painting a reflection of a dark object, I am usually painting the underwater color for that dark object, unless it's way back there. If it's way back there, you know, right along the horizon where the reflection is almost 100% like the source, that's when I might use the actual colors of my dark shadow. But down here, I'm not using the colors of this rock. I'm just using the underwater colors, because I'm treating this rock like it's just blocking the reflection from happening. Okay, now does that make more sense, Camilla? What do you think?
Yes,
What do
absolutely.
you think?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's put some little mossy rocks popping up under the water. I'm gonna squish them flat like this. See, this is just yellow. That's all I did. I just put a little yellow in there, and I'm just
Wow.
really squishing them flat. They're gonna come in here.
It's amazing how fast you can make it look like you can see under the water.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, there we go. We got a little bit of water there. I'm gonna put some over here to be consistent with that. So here I'm gonna expect to see a bit more. So let's say I've got a little of this bright light, and I'll add more as I paint. But down here, I'll have lighter colors because this rock is blocking that light. So you can see I've got a slightly lighter color there. But my method is the same. Here's my underwater color. It was orange, it was yellow, it was black. I put those three colors together, and I see more of it down low, and I see less of it up high. And so up high, I'm going to put my source color. This is what's being reflected, right? I'm ignoring this little hill at the moment. We're going to put white, yellow. I'm trying to mimic that color with some white, yellow, a little bit of black. There we go. Okay, so there's my reflection of the background. Now this gradient is what happens because of the angle of the surface. So the changing angle of the surface, I need this to gradually become more like the underwater color. So I choose my two colors. I start my blending, my gradient, and I'm going to pull this bright color down like this. And of course, it's getting less bright as it's mixing, and that's good because I don't want it to be brighter than the source itself. Here we go. And look, I just left this out to make the reflection of that, whatever formation that is. Just leave that out. Okay, bring this down. Now I've got the reflection of my rock visible again, like this. I changed my underwater color. Now it's a browner color of water. You see, the color of the water is not really what matters. Well, that's the wrong way to say it. It's not what makes it look like water. Okay, now yellow. Again, I've got my rocks under there. I'm going to try to make some rocks visible under this with that same yellow, like this. So here's my little bits of bright rocks coming out. You can just barely see them. I'm trying to make them line up with bright spots that I have in the shadow too, so it looks like it continues through. That's a good effect if I can do that. There, it's just subtle, and you don't see nearly as much because the brightness of the reflection is causing it not to be seen as well. There's a little bit of white to enhance this. All right, what you got going on there, Camilla? I hear you rustling around. Okay, we got rocks. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. That's kind of a fun effect. I want to make these meet up to see how this rock goes chunk in it, and it just stops there. So if I think this paint is dry now, so I can't blend it. But if I go down here and I just mix that lighter color again. Do I still have you on the line, Camilla?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard a whole bunch of rustling around. I thought maybe you were
sorry.
going out for a coffee and coming back. I don't know.
No, I was
no problem.
putting down my curtain because the sun.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Oh, you're at the sunset hour, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is it pretty? Is it pretty in Denmark?
Yes, it can be, but
Yeah.
I think minutes to 5 in the morning, so that can be really beautiful. I like that mist over the fields, and yeah, that's really beautiful.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna make this one continue through to see this lighter colored rock. I'm gonna take that lighter color. So I mixed a darker highlight to continue through my darker reflection area. So I get that look. Okay, now I'm going to go over to the right side, do a similar thing. I'm going to go like this. It sounded like you're like we got a bad signal there for a moment while you were talking. How's the stream looking? I'm not pixelating on the screen right now, am I?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Your sound is perfect.
Good. Just making sure. All right. So here's my 3 colors again. Orange, black, yellow. Trying to get, it's good if I can remember my mix. Orange, black, yellow. There we go. And then get my reflection color in there. I think I might be a little heavy on orange, maybe a little, I don't know. Let's put just a touch more black in there. Okay, I can't work on it too long because it'll dry out on me. I spread it out real thin, so it's going to dry fast. And then I used yellow, black, and white for my reflection color. There's yellow and white. Here's a little bit of black in there. I'll put my extra over here on the side. Okay, not perfect, not a perfect match, but it's going to accomplish the effect nevertheless. So let's go like this. We're leaving behind the reflection of this little rock here. And then we get our gradient. I'm going to try to copy that shape of the rock like this. Go up and down a little to pull those colors. I think I didn't make quite enough. We need a bit more of that. Let me put a tiny bit more yellow and white in here. Get a little stronger on my reflection color. See, once this is established, it's easy to come in and put additional reflections like trunks of trees. It's just a squiggly line down. Once this gradient is established, the rest is much easier. This is kind of the more difficult foundation building of a reflective surface. Okay, there we go. Now we've got a gradient. And the variations in it, if they're soft enough, the variations can just look like little ripples in the water. I'm just real careful with the direction of my brush strokes. Real careful with that. If I get a bunch of diagonal brush strokes, like crisscrossing brush strokes, that'll really affect this look. Okay, yellow and white to connect some underwater rocks. I added yellow first and then I did white. I'll try to stay consistent with what I did on this other side here. Here's a little bit more yellow. I see a rock here, so I'm going to go like this. Put a rock there, and then a few more wherever they fit in. Here's dark areas, so the dark areas are a good spot to put a yellow highlight because I can see it. Yep. Okay, we're going to put some of these in like that, and then brush over them a few times so that they're not quite so extremely bright. Like this. Okay, and then some white. Some white. We have, I want to match this tone that I did over there. So I'll put some white there, white there, white there, right here, like that. There. Ooh, the real bright ones, they pop right up out of the water. Looks like they're coming close to the surface. Maybe we won't go quite that bright. Let's darken these down just.
But
Just a tad.
how would you do if you wanted one of the stones to look like it's above water?
Coming up? Yeah, I knew you were
Yeah.
going to say that. Okay, let's do it.
You knew
Let's do it.
that?
I felt it coming. I don't know. We're on the same wavelength because I was thinking to myself, maybe I should make one of these popping up out of the
Oh.
water. I was actually thinking that very thing. Okay, so I'm going to build a little bit larger area so I'm not working in a tiny space. Let's make a larger rock first under the water. Okay, so just consistent with the rest of my technique, we got a large flat rock under the water like this. I'm going to pull these darker colors into the bottom of it so that I have a, it's going down into a shadow. There we go, a larger shape. And I want it to come up out of the water. I'm just going to paint a rock. Now, if there is, you can make it darker or lighter. That is the point I'm getting to, but I'm going to change the color scheme a little bit. So we're going to go some black like this, because what's under the water is the surface of the water stops the light, an amount of the light. It has this separate lighting scheme under the water. And so if there's some light coming, maybe what's missing in this picture is whatever. I've obviously got light under the water because you can see my rocks. That light under the water can bounce around and it lightens all the shadows, but it doesn't come up out of the water. It reflects off of the air. It comes up, reflects off the air, goes back down. It stays under there. And so the reason I'm telling you that is because I can have a sharp line, and you might think that you would always see lighter, brighter colors as you come up out of the water, but not always the case. So
yeah, because that was what I was thinking. Normally, when a stone is dry or in the sun, it's lighter than the stone above, under the water.
That's true. That's true. It is normally, yeah, but it doesn't have to be. But I do notice that it's consistently less colorful. And so what I'm going to do is make this. What I'm going to do is just raise the contrast. I'm going to put a real
You're going to make
bright.
it more gray. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're going to make it more grayish, or?
I'm going to make the shadow darker and the highlight lighter. That's what I'm going to do on this rock. And that's because the underwater is reducing the difference between them. It's bouncing the light around into the shadows, lightening them. So I'll just leave a little bit of a shadow that's darker there. Let me blend it a little. It's going to look like an outline. I don't want the outline effect, so I'm going to blend this better like this. I really want a gradient. Because of how light I have this from the start, it's a little bit harder. It'd be easier on me if I started with like something like this would be easier to build something out of, because I have plenty of room to get lighter. But you can see the shadow above the surface is darker, and that's normal to see. You can go look at a sunny creek and see that under the water the shadows can be less dark than the higher contrast that's above the water, because the light is getting thrown into those shadows more, bouncing around more under the water. So it's a fun effect to have in there. So all I do when I pop a rock out of the water is change the color a little bit and raise the contrast a little bit, if applicable. It might be that I could just do a solid color and that'd be fine. Maybe because maybe there's not enough difference on the surface to make like a clear light and shadow area.
Yeah.
There we go. It's more gray. This has more color under it. So being less colorful helps pop it up. Okay.
Yep.
Now, let's move on. Okay, now I could do the same thing. See this embankment that comes down? I could do the same thing with that, but maybe this is more directly facing the sun. So maybe that one does get darker as it goes under the water. let's make that one. I'm thinking about it, thinking about where I want to go with that. Here, let's chop off some of this. Let's put some of this under the water. Let's go like this. We'll make an edge on this rock. I'm just chopping it off, and I'm going to paint it underwater colors. So yellow, orange, black. I'm doing the same gradient again. There we go. But this, the only reflection above this, it's not this background. The reflection is the rock itself. So that rock is similar color. So I'm just going to lighten this. Okay, I'm just going to add my, I think maybe I have a little bit more of the greenish hue to my underwater. So I'm going to put black and yellow in here. There we go. There's my greenish brown underwater color. Let me get a little more like this. Okay, and then I'm going to put my reflection color on there, and that's just going to be the reflection of this rock, and they're so similar in color. I'm just going to use white. So I'm just going to take some white, put it on the surface, and I'm going to make this reflection slightly darker. In the end, my goal is slightly darker than the rock itself. I want the rock to be the brighter of the two. You could go the other way. You can make it slightly lighter, slightly darker. It just depends how bright you're suggesting your underwater is. If it's real shallow, sunlit water, then you might expect the reflection to be slightly lighter than the rock. If it's dark water in a shadow, you might expect the reflection to be slightly darker than the rock. Okay, now it's slightly darker. Slightly darker. There we go. But I want to have this rock looking like it's going under the water. So I'm going to add, and I need a gradient. There'd be more reflection here. I'm still hurting a little bit on my here, let's put a little more of this one. I see the edge of that rock coming down. I'm going to go like this. Like this. Let's put some reflection of it right in here. More reflection the further back I go in my picture. So I'm going to put these bright colors of the rock where it's up high, and then less and less of those reflections as I come down here. There we go. Like that. Okay, now that leaves this to be my underwater color. So now I need to merge this with whatever's going on in here. I need those to look similar. So let's go a little bit darker greener. Let's put some gray, black rather. Black, yellow. I'm just getting some of these darker foresty colors in there to separate my reflection of the rock from this. Oh boy, I bit off more than I wanted to chew here. I started getting all technical on this, and now I can't see my rock going down. Okay, so now my reflection colors, I just added white. I lightened the surface. I need my most saturated colors to go under the water now. So I'm going to use a slightly lighter shade now of this yellow, little bit of orange. I'm going to see if I can get just light enough. Here, let's use a heavier amount of yellow right here. I want to make it look like this rock continues down. Okay, so lots of yellow. This rock goes down under the water. And so water, if water has a color to it, which this does, it's this brownish yellow. If water has a color to it, then it's going to color the things under the water. And so we can expect to see much more saturated shadows, much more saturated colors. It colors that. So to get this to look like it's going down under the water, I need that yellowish color. And then I'll put a few little shadow lines with some orange and black just to try to look like the rest of this. We've got little bits of shape and texture on our rock. Man, that got more technical than I wanted it to be in a hurry. There we go. So my saturated highlights are shining through from under the water. My more grayish Gradient is the reflection on the surface. That's the goal
Mm.
here. That's what I'm trying to do. Let's put some rocks under the water again. Put some of that. Okay. Here we go. And then, of course, more underwater colors. Right here in the front, I need a lot of underwater color because this is down by my feet, or at least that's what I want it to look like. Right here. So orange, yellow, black again. It's my underwater color. And we'll just paint the bottom of that rock. It's just this boulder going up. The hardest part I ran into unexpectedly, I was trying to simultaneously paint the reflection of the rock on the rock, which is what you would have, but that's that's just something to think about. There we go. So I'm going to try to enhance that look of the reflection of the rock on the rock. I'm going to take a little bit. I see oranges in there. I'm going to take a little dab of orange and white. And I'm going to try to look at this edge, look at that shape, and make that shape upside down and make it diminish in intensity as it comes down. So we're going to go less and less of those colors as it comes down this way, like this. There we go. Like that. Maybe we'll go a little bit closer to this with that reflection edge. Man, that is hard to keep track of. How's it looking on your end, Camilla?
It looks good, but I can see it's pretty hard to make those small gradients.
Yes, it is. I'm struggling here. I'm struggling. Okay, so this is light plus the light under. I'm going to put a little extra yellow right here. Try to line things up a little more. Try to create some extra little bits of yellow light coming through, getting colored by the water. There we go. Just a little bit. A suggestion that it continues on that texture. I'm going to leave it there for a little bit. That one hurt my brain. I'm going to put just a little strip. It did, man. That was getting more technical than I expected. Okay, I want to put these little dots of white reflection to help define my surface. I don't like doing this before my surface is well defined because it feels like cheating. There we go.
But it's really valuable to know that the reflections on the water are a bit more gray than the other colors.
Yeah, it tends to be because when light is mixing.
That really helped with that white. Those small white dots. That was just.
Thanks. I learned that from watching Bob Ross. He would do that. That was the final touch of Bob Ross, painting a mountain lake scene or something.
Yes.
That little bit, that little bit goes a long way. It really does a lot.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
I love doing that. Yes. Okay. Now it looks like water.
Now it looks like that's all I needed. Just to see
just some tiny white dots.
Yeah, that's all it was. I don't like to jump straight to that because then I'm not challenged to get the other effects dialed in. You know what I mean? If it's given away by something easier to accomplish. So I try to accomplish the effect with the harder things first and then add these little giveaway effects. That little bit of surface line. Okay.
Jacob has a question.
Okay, what's that?
What is the difference between the reflection of the rock on top of the water versus seeing the rock under the water?
Oh, they're just two completely different scenarios. You have so under the water, this yellow color with the rock. We have the light going through the surface of the water, lighting up the rock, bouncing off the rock, coming back at us. And the image we see is based on the exact shape of the rock. And that is completely separate from the reflection that we see of the light hitting this rock. And then that light, of course, whatever light comes toward my eyes is the image that I'm going to see off this rock. Well, that light is coming down here, hitting the water and bouncing toward me, creating the reflection. So it's a very different path of light making the reflection. So when I do the reflection, I'm only concerned about turning what is above the surface upside down, you know, like the hand model, like we did in our video, the three-dimensional reflection, like the hand, my right hand is the reflection, my left hand is the rock. So I'm concerned about turning that upside down and then painting that reflection on the water. So that can be very different than whatever images are coming from under the water. So I could probably improve this with little bits of that rock reflection color. I wanted to let it dry to see what my colors are.
Sorry, Mary just says, what is that green fuzzy swamp monster?
What? There's a swamp monster in there? Mary,
Yeah,
who's here
I
to
guess
make trouble?
it's the stone with the moss.
Oh, Mary, we're gonna kick you off. We're gonna kick you right off this. No, just kidding. I like it. I like when you get on here and make some trouble. That's good. I'm gonna put a little bit more of that rock color. Just trying to line it up because, you know, this, to me, this feels like a delicate balance here. How much reflection, and that paint dries darker. I don't know. Maybe what I really need to do is, well, there is no one thing. You know, I can choose how to separate these, but what I'm struggling with at the moment is of course just seeing all the things I want to see. And I've said this before, you know, you run into this problem in photographs as well. Sometimes you snap a photo and you say, I can't see what I thought was my reason for taking the photo in the first place. Sometimes you lose that. So in a painting, we can gradually juggle these things and try to get it to look
Jacob
good.
is asking, but are the colors basically the same in the two scenarios?
No, they're not the same because one is extremely filtered. Okay, it's the difference between your subtractive color mixing systems and your additive color mixing systems. When you're looking at like the RGB model that just puts colors side by side and we see the result of those, that simulates reflection very well. When you're looking at the color filtering, where we have paints mixing and where you mix two opposite colors, you know, we can mix the orange with what's another bright color to mix this with. We can mix this with, let's say, a green. Here, let's do this. We got orange and green, right? Well, the mix of these two things is probably going to be darker than both. So it's not going to be in between the orange and green. Well, if my prediction, it might be wrong, but when I come here and do a mix in the middle, you can see that mix, if I get the ratio right there, the darkest color in the mix is the middle. And that happens more extreme with other colors. Maybe if I did a red and a blue, it'd be more obvious. And with CMYK, where they're just layered, it's even more obvious, where you have, you know, magenta on top of turquoise on top of yellow. Anyway, filtering light will color things a lot because it's removing the spectrum, removing parts of the rainbow. So for example, you know, if you remove all but the red, you're going to see a bright red. And so when you are doing something under the water, if you're removing all the light but this muddy yellow color, you're going to see that color. And so this water is filtering away light and limiting the spectrum down to the color we're seeing. Where the reflection, the reason the reflection is typically a more grayish color is because it's adding extra colors to the mix, usually tipping it toward the full spectrum, moving toward the full spectrum where we see colorless. Is that making sense? So we add this to this color. It's just this color plus this color. The result is something less intensely colored. Whereas when we come from under the water, we're removing parts of the spectrum. Does that make sense? We're adding,
Yes,
adding more of the spectrum when we reflect, removing parts of the spectrum when we come through another substance. So that filtered light. That is the difference. So that's why I treat them very differently depending which one. I treat them very differently as just completely separate scenarios. Okay, white. I'm gonna
That
put.
was a beautiful answer, Jacob says.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I'm trying to. I'm trying to speak more, you know, concisely. Trying to limit my words these days. So you let me know. Let me know when I'm just sounding like a windbag. Okay. So I'm making a gradient here. I just want this to generally look like we got some light coming through the trees. So here's some black now. And the way I get that effect real quickly of light glowing through something is to just gradually move the color toward yellow as it moves to the white. So the values move toward white, the colors move toward yellow. And when when that happens at the same time, we get what I like to call a translucent glow or a translucent gradient. So I'm just taking some colors, brown. I got similar color to what's under the water here. And I'm just going to dot it in behind my trees like it's a canopy of different colored trees. And it just gets more intensely colored and moves toward yellow as it gets lighter. That's the pattern to get that look. Okay, now I got my fuzzy tree up here. I'm going to put the background in there like this. Go here. You know, my metallic blue tree, as I'm looking at that, I don't think that one came out so on the money. That doesn't feel like it really is I really wanted that iridescent metallic look, like on the shell of a blue-green colored beetle or something that is that real metallic kind of reflective glow. I didn't accomplish it very well. And my thinking is because I didn't quite get the relationship right. This relationship of what the values are doing, meaning brightness, darkness, what the values are doing as the colors are changing, or reverse it, what the colors are doing as the values are changing. Those two things are like a marriage that's work together to accomplish many different effects. So I'm always trying to understand what needs to happen to my colors as I'm changing my values. What needs to happen to my values as I'm changing my colors. I don't think it's a great mode of thinking to try to say which one of those is important. They're like a marriage. You know, what happens to the color? If you have them in the painting, it's good to carefully consider both things. Okay.
Mavis is asking, Joe, if I'm trying to make my hollyhock blossom look. Oh, sorry. Once again. If I'm trying
Hollyhock
to
blossom,
make
yeah.
hollyhock blossom look translucent, do I use translucent gradient to do that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So if it's a pink hollyhock, then the shadows are going to be closest to the pink purple. And then it's going to shift more toward the orange, you know, because it's moving toward yellow as the light brightens. And so since flower petals let a lot of light shine through them, just like we talked about on the water, light shining through something gets colored. And what that color is, that's why we're understanding to shift toward yellow, because that tells us what color we can expect when it shines through that pinkish colored hollyhock petal. Or if it's a yellow hollyhock, then the shadows might be more orange, where the bright sunny spots might be more yellow. And that will instantly make it feel more translucent. But sometimes the effect doesn't work. One of the reasons it doesn't work will be because even though you changed the color of the highlights, they're not colorful. They're still too gray. We need this yellow to be a greater intensity than the neighboring shadows. And so if I have a lot, you know, you just understanding that is the knob to turn, the dial to turn, the control, and you can feel your way through how intense does your highlight need to be, how intense does your shadow need to be, and that's what we talked about in the previous the previous video on this painting. Was the more I move my colors to the shadows, the more translucent the object becomes, like this tree. The colors are all the way in the shadows, so this one looks like the most kind of glassy, transparent material, whatever you want to call it. And then I was trying to go complete opposite on my blue tree right here, where the brightest, most intense blue is at the very brightest tip, the very highlight. So here I'm going to change from the current color scheme to just using black in the shadows. Okay, so I'm going to blend this black out, less and less black as I move out, to create the little valleys in between, you know, just the dark shadows in between my highlights. Now the goal here is going to be that my most intense colors are at the very brightest parts. Not always the case with something, just with this one, I'm trying to make that the case. The most intense colors will be the brightest colors. Okay, I'm getting more of my light blue. I'm going to put little bits going down here, little bits going down here. I still don't know if this is going to solve my problem, but I'm hoping. I want the most reflective look by having my real intense color right in my bright highlights, and then I reduce the intensity constantly as I get darker. Not the case with this orange tree. I boosted the intensity as I moved to the shadows. Okay, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to put my...
Ralu Chris has a question.
Okay, what's that?
Please ask Joe to advise me on using acrylic paint on paper. I have problems on blending the colors. They stay separated on the paper like a spot. Sorry for my poor English. That's okay.
No problem. Well, paper is going to absorb the paint quickly and make it dry super fast. So if you really only have paper to work on, I don't recommend doing acrylic paint on paper, but if that's all you have to do, then just do a primer coat. Just do a coat on the paper so that you seal it, so that it doesn't absorb the paints. That makes blending really hard when it's absorbing the paint as you're applying it. It makes it dry super fast and stops it from blending. So just seal it with a coat first, which I would imagine would cause the paper to kind of curl up and get misshaped, you know. And so I'm not sure what you could do about that. If you find a remedy for that one, you let me know. But in order to get good blending, I would first seal it. Seal the paper. Okay.
Or maybe buy a paper for watercolor.
Maybe that's the answer. Yeah. I'm not so well versed in that medium. I can definitely imagine what the paints would be doing, but I don't do that. Yeah, so seal it and you can move the paint around. That would be the answer. Okay, now I'm putting my brightest, bluest spots on here. And you know what else I want to do? I want to avoid accidentally getting a translucent gradient. I'm realizing as I'm doing this, if I want this to look super solid, I also want to eliminate this effect. Shifting toward yellow is not such a great thing if I want a solid reflective gradient. So I want this tree to look solid and reflective. I don't want it to look translucent. And I'm kind of feeling like, man, it keeps looking overly translucent, which is that, it's on one hand, I'm happy that I can accidentally produce an effect that a lot of people are really trying to do all the time. this is not the goal. I'm actually trying to purposely eliminate the translucency of this tree by reducing the color.
Mary wants to know what color the flowers on the tree have, the blue tree.
It's just the color of the leaves. I'm just deciding that it just has blue leaves because this is my fantasy picture here. That's all it is. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little bit more of a purple color to that. The reason is because this blue, this phthalo blue, shifts toward green as it gets lighter. And in my theory here, and if I can't do it, I'd give up. But my theory here is that my chosen blue is simulating a translucent color change, meaning shifting toward yellow as it gets brighter. And so maybe if I make it not do that, it'll help. We'll see. We'll see. Let's go like this. Let's go more purple. I got to get nice and light. Let's go more purple on my color. Wherever I see those bright blues, I'm going to change it to not quite such a turquoise color, like this. Okay, so we'll just dot this into my most outer, brightest turquoise color. See how where it's the lightest, it looks the most turquoise. Is that I don't know if it's looking that way on your end, Camilla, but where
it doesn't really make a difference right now. Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know if you're seeing the turquoise hue on those.
Yeah, I do. I do.
I'm trying to get rid of that turquoise because if it's going to be like the ocean waves, the ocean waves get more turquoise as they rise up out of the water. And that's a translucent look because it's shifting, it's doing this translucent pattern. So I'm trying to avoid that pattern accidentally occurring.
But I can see the change now.
Can you? Well, you don't have to say that. I'm just trying to see if the colors are looking similar to you on the computer as they're looking to me in person.
Well, Ralu has some nice words for you.
Okay, what's that? I'm ready for some nice words.
Yeah. What was it that was it Mavis or Mary that said some I'm going to pour some syrup over you.
Oh,
that was a great term. Well, he says, she, I don't know if it's a she or he. You are great. Thank you for all the years you teach me and all of us. You gave me courage to start. You gave me courage to start drawing, learning perspective and paint.
Oh, that's sweet. Nice.
Sweet.
Thank you so much. Oh, I really appreciate that. That's a nice compliment. I get more credit than I deserve. That is for sure. But thank you so much. That is nice.
It's a she.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Beautiful compliment. You made my day. You made me feel good. Okay, I think it's actually working. From where I'm sitting, this tree, as I'm adding this slightly more purple shade to everything that looks turquoise, this is taking away the look of it being an illuminated translucent tree and helping it to look like a solid, more reflective blue tree. That's the goal.
It does.
That's the goal.
It does.
Yeah, and so I'm just trying to get rid of the accidental shift toward yellow that happened. Well, it might be less confusing if I said shift toward green because that's the next color down the line. It's turning more green. I just say toward yellow in more of an absolute sense. That's ultimately the direction that the colors are going if you're visualizing it on a rainbow. Okay, I'm just putting little dots of purple all over my turquoise. That's all it is, just little dots of turquoise. And
it
then
looks
I'm
more
trying
natural.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm just trying to make it look like that's a solid tree. It doesn't have as much light glowing in it. I don't know. It has not been an easy thing. Now I'm going to try to reduce intensity in the shadows a little bit. I added a little bit of black to my next color, so I'm going to go down here and put that in the midtones between highlight and shadow. Now that I got rid of the translucent shift, things getting more toward yellow as they get brighter. Now I'm taking down the intensity in the midtones because I want all the intensity to be in the highlight, not the midtone. So I really chose a hard color because blue's dark, and it's hard to have intense blue highlights in a painting because when you lighten blue, it gets less intense. It's a dark color. So you're usually left with intense blues being in shadows in a painting, right? I mean, it's common to put all your nice blues in your sunset shadows and backlight, silhouettes, things like that. So trying to use blue as my brightest highlight on an object, I'm finding very, very difficult. And I'm just eyeballing all of the midtones, trying to get rid of all my midtones to get this to look more solidish, more like that. What are we? Kevlar balloon look. Trying to get more of the Kevlar balloon look on this. I'm trying. Okay, I'm going in here, dotting over these turquoise colors. We'll let this rest for a little bit after I got that. Then we'll go. There we go. Yeah, I think if nothing else, I can at least feel satisfied that it reduced the translucency of it by reversing this effect. This one, I put all the color saturation as it got darker. This one, trying to get all the color saturation as it got lighter. Let's see if I can.
Mary says Mylar balloons.
Mylar, yes, I said Kevlar. I get that confused every time. And that's the Kevlar is like the bulletproof material, right? Like
I don't know what it is.
Yes, I think it is bulletproof vests and things. It's a real strong weaved material. Yes, I get that wrong all the time. Okay, thank you for the correction, Mary. Thank you. You can always count on Mary.
Yes.
Okay, I want to put little dots of brightest, like maybe a little bit of brightest reflection on just the little points of wherever I already have my bright color. This is why I think it's so important to focus on my building my shapes out of gradients from light to shadow, because then when I come in to do little highlights, there's a real exact designated place to put them. They go somewhere. I don't just randomly put them in hoping they're going to do the trick. I really look for that spot. Let's put bright white. Like maybe there's just the tiniest bit. We want high contrast. If we want something to really look like it has a solid and smooth reflective look, we definitely need little twinkles, just like any mirror-like reflection. We want the light source to be represented in small points. So if there's this bright light shining on these tiny curved surfaces, it's going to have many little dots of white in order to get this to look like a truly shiny, reflective, solid surface like a metal or something similar. Then we need to represent where the light source itself has a mirror-like reflection off the tiny little angles that are appropriately facing it.
Mavis is saying, what an interesting exercise to seeing how to manipulate colors to add translucency and or solidity.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Yes, I'm finding it difficult. So don't feel bad if you try this. If you follow this video to do the same, don't feel bad one bit if you find some difficulty in it. I also am finding this.
I thought you were going to say, don't try this at home.
Don't try it. No, I say do this at home as much as you can.
Yeah,
just don't beat yourself up, that's all.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I think that was one of the major things that was missing, that contrast, the contrast between the light and shadow. Okay.
It looks sparkly, I think.
Okay, good. Looks more sparkly. I'm happy to hear that. A little bit of white dots would look good on the green sheet. Here, let's put a little on this one.
Mavis is saying, I'm not trying this at home.
I'm not trying this one. Trying to make multiple trees of different materials. Yeah. Well, it's a fun study.
Yeah, I
Okay,
guess we have an assignment from Thursday, so that's okay.
oh yeah, that's true. Okay, I kind of left this out last time. I'm realizing this is a major ingredient to the smooth look. When something's very smooth, having that final little dot, regardless of how bright, it doesn't have to be super bright. I made super bright on this one to get more of a metallic reflectant look, but on this one, just the presence of those hard, sudden changes from the bright to the dark makes smoothness. So this is my smooth leaf tree, my not smooth leaf tree, my translucent tree. Okay, now it's time to start wrapping this up to make this painting look like something. I've got this very awkward, rough looking orange spot in the middle now where I've worked on my other trees.
Oh, I thought it looked good.
Well, no, I just mean in the process of doing that blue one, I want to just clean up the edges on my. Thank you very much for saying it looks good. Hey, how's this angle? Is that a good angle?
No, that's well, but the colors is not as good as on
not
your
as
camera.
good. Let's switch back to the other one.
Yeah,
It's time for me to invest in a better camera. Okay, I've just got black background showing through that still. So now here is my very translucent tree, and so I'm going to go lots of color in the shadow. Go ahead.
Mavis has a question. If I want to have something look translucent, then I don't add highlights.
If you don't want to,
if you want to
say
have
that
something
one more time. Say that one more time for me.
If I want to have something look translucent, then I don't add highlights.
Oh no, you can totally add highlights to something translucent. You can totally add them. So maybe I made it sound like the highlights were just for the solid objects. These highlights were to accomplish smoothness of the surface. The little dot suggests a shiny surface where the bright light source reflects off a small point, and you see the separation because it's smooth and not blurring it all together like this. So if you wanted to make a fuzzy object, then your highlights maybe would not be the little dotted points. Maybe they would be more blurry, soft spots. A translucent object can definitely have highlights. You just don't want the highlights you don't want the highlights on a translucent object to be the most intense if they're on the surface. So as I create this translucent effect, better to paint than to just talk. I'm going to paint, and I'm going to create. Now, what you're calling a highlight matters. I'm realizing there could be confusion in what I'm calling a highlight. You might call this a highlight, but what this is the gradient that just is bringing my material out into the light. So I'm building the bigger shapes first, and to make this as highly translucent as I know how to do, I'm keeping all the color in the shadows. All the color is in the shadows, so it gets constantly less colorful as it moves toward the outer parts. So on this particular tree, because I'm trying to keep all of the color toward the shadows, my highlights would just need to be colorless because it's the bright colors. I just don't want to put all the color in the highlights. That's all. But it also depends what you're calling the highlight, because if you get into all the details, like we talked about refraction and in the light, if you call this bright yellow coming out from under the water, you might call that a highlight, where what I'm currently calling the highlight is just, the more colorless light reflecting off the surface, I suppose. So that could get confusing. So, Mavis, yes, you can put highlights on a translucent thing. You can totally put highlights. If you have these, what you need is this larger pattern in place to create the look of translucency.
Yeah, got it. Thanks, she says.
Okay. I felt like I kind of fumbled that explanation a little bit. It's good.
Well, Jacob says that he hopes you read those comments on YouTube afterwards.
He can read them. You
Yeah,
can do
yeah.
it. Do you
Well,
want to
he
go on
does.
YouTube? Yeah. You can. Well, we don't need to read off a long list of nice things said about me. We don't need to do that on this. I'm not trying to do that. Just if they're like questions. I only meant we can read them if they're important questions. That's all.
Oh, well,
Please.
he just hopes that you read them afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jake. You know what? I'm going to. I'm going to read them. Everybody out there, I'm giving you my word that I'm going to go online and read and reply to the comments, even if you're telling me that I look like a monkey. Okay. All I'm doing is trying to clean up my edges on my tree a little bit. Here's orange. I'm putting the color in the shadow first. Color in the shadow. And then putting my little bit of, maybe just a wee little bit of black in there. Not a lot. Not a lot. Just putting the most color in the shadow. The shadow just needs to have more color than my outer parts. And I want it to look like it's overlapping. I want it to look like it's overlapping. That I want the blue tree the furthest away. So that's something I'm working on right now. Just putting this blue one further. There we go. How's it look to you? Does the blue tree look like it's behind now?
Yes.
Camilla? I
Yeah,
was
it
having
does.
trouble.
Yes,
Does it? Okay.
it
I
does.
need the second set of eyes because I start seeing all my brush strokes, you know, trying to get lost in my picture. All right. How long have we been streaming?
I guess
Lose track of the time.
1
Is it
hour
9?
and 1 hour and 15 minutes approximately.
An hour and 15. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. We're not too short on time.
We started on 5:30, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just doing a quick phone check to see if there's any fires to put out. Okay. Just looking.
Some fires to put out. Yeah.
Not that I have a lot of that in my life, you know, just
How's
making sure
how's
I'm
the
not missing
mural
something.
going?
Oh, mural's going good. I finished the mural at the coffee shop.
Oh,
Now
and
I'm
you
trying to
didn't
finish.
take pictures?
I took pictures. Yeah, I took pictures.
Okay. Okay, you
I
can
did
show
say
them
I did say
on
we
Monday.
were gonna look. I did say we were gonna look at paintings, didn't I? I said that.
Yep.
So we need to do that. Jacob was. Oh no, Chase.
No, it was Chase, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna put. Let's wrap up this painting here. Let's do something. I want to put like a cave in here. Get rid of that big green. That big green thing. Oh yeah, because we were talking about translucent gradients. That's why I have that. Okay, so out of this rock, you know, we're gonna have like a little more color showing as it comes out into the light. See, I'm thinking of my brush. If you want to know my thought process, you know, I'm really thinking of it as kind of like a chisel, like I'm kind of cutting away the ceiling of a cave coming out here. That color adds a little bit of light to it. It's just coming out here. And the texture is like kind of chiseling away at it. Okay, then I can do the same thing down here. You say, okay, we've got more color here because it's coming out into the light out of this. So I do like to, you know, like many painters probably traditionally work from shadows, adding lights to bring it forward. I'd say that's probably like the most common thing. So I'm not really an exception to that. I like to add the lights. All right, so that color is what I use to turn this big dark blob. I'm going to add a little yellow because I don't want a pink rock. I want it to be a little more of the tan, brown side. I don't want tons of color either. I want it to be somewhat gray. So I'll add a bit more black. And then like we talked about, by the way, for those of you, if you consider joining Super Period, this was the painting we did last. This was the last thing. This was the painting from the last live stream, talking about lights and shadows, how to build things similar to this. But that was what I just now started to reference because we were talking about the strategy of first putting color with a neutral. So color with black is the neutral. It could also be white. Okay, so then since I'm working from shadow to light, my last step is putting my white where I have my color. I put the color there for the purpose of taking the white and turning it into an object. So this becomes the floor of the rock, going deeper and deeper into that cave without the color there. Or if the color was misplaced or something, you know, that color really helps that to look like it's coming out into the light. You could do this with the black and white painting and then forget about the color. But the whole painting would be black and white and there'd be no conflict. Since this is a colored painting, it's important that I maintain my attention to the color, you know, because the stage is set, that there's color here. So now any misuse of color will stand in the way. All right, I'm just putting little shapes, sculpting my rock, cutting out edges. I got a bump on the rock right here, you know, we can put all kinds of stuff, just sculpting into the shadow, because the reason this works is because I built the gradient, gave myself some believable colors there. And then this one, I'll put much less white because this is going to be the ceiling. There's like a cave in here. Like that. There we go. See, now we've got the mouth of some strange looking cave coming out. And I'm going to put a little bit of highlight on the rock. This is going to be a hard edge, hard color change right there. Just a big geometric edge on the rock. And once again, I need some color on it. Let's put a little bit of color. So again, here's color with the neutral. That is orange with the white. Or yellow with the white, and now I'm adding orange. I don't know about this artist. He calls yellow orange. Okay. So now I have put color and a white together so you can guess where I'm going to put my shadow. I'm not going to put my shadow over the white spots. I'm going to put my shadow over the colored spots. That's where my shadow, because when you mix paint, you lose color intensity usually. So I look for, when I'm adding something that has no color, like black or white, I'm going to put it where I have excessive color in order to make it look more natural, to maintain that balance so that I have color in my lights and in my shadows, just like a natural environment. Okay, so I'm putting this black now. So see how I just reversed the process? Here, I'm going to have shadows that are not as dark, but that's good because I'm out here on the surface. I'm not in the cave. But the workflow is similar. I'm putting that little bit of black to create my shadows on areas that I have a lot of color. And then leaving my lightest, whitest areas so that they don't get completely reduced to a gray. See, so we have that right there. All right, let's do some other, a little bit. I just wanted to do something fun on that rock before I called it a day. Let's do that. Put a little bit of sunlight here. Got some sunlight crashing through the forests. And take this bright light and just dot it down into the shadows like we got some light. Look, it just adds depth to that by just putting believable shapes in perspective. Just kind of dotting them back like the shadows of trees hitting this wall. Boy, this is it's starting to get to that tipping point where everything I put on the picture is much more immediately satisfying because there's enough in place. Now it's like, okay, yeah, now we can snap on this piece, put this, and it's time to quit. It just got to that point where it's starting to get fun and it's time to stop, because I want to wrap it up looking at the work that Chase sent me. I want to go over here and look at that one. So give me a moment. And we're going to go to my inbox here. Chase, I've got it. Okay, if you subscribe on the platform I was talking about, there's a little icon at the bottom of the screen, I think. If you subscribe to the Mural Joe channel on Super Peer, then you'll get my email to send pictures in. You know, you'll have the email to send me pictures if you want me to pull them up like I'm doing, just in case that comes up. All right, Chase, what are we talking about? Go ahead.
I put in.
Sorry, I entered.
Oh, it's okay. I put in the link in the comments.
Oh, okay, very good. Okay, now I'm going to show Chase picture. Beautiful
Oh.
human form. Look at that, Chase. This is excellent work. You successfully did not make this person look like an awkward alien. That's really good because that's something that happens all the time when you're trying to do people. It happens so easy. I'm including myself in that. I'm connecting you right now, buddy. It's just going to take a minute for that to come through. Okay, now you've got wonderful contrast. You got great color in your highlights, great color in your shadows. This is really good, and so I'm going to let you lead with the questions on this one. I hear you there, Chase. How you doing?
Good, good. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Chase.
Hi, guys. It's so good to see you all. So, Joe, I put in the email. You probably just grabbed the because I forgot.
Yeah, I just looked at the picture, but you're talking to me now.
Email. So I've been working on this portrait, and I don't usually do portraits, so I'm not good at them. And this is not done, and none of it is done. So I know it's very rough, but it just there's something wrong. I just can't pull any like believable human form out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I see a lot
wrong with it.
Okay. You're looking at all your hours of work, and I'm looking at it at a glance. I definitely see believable human form. So these are the differences that I see. Human form is a delicate balance. That is the truth. It is not nearly as forgiving as something like that. Human form is in a whole different category of need for precision. So we can identify some things like here is a super common, super easy error to make in judging facial proportion. We'll start with that. And that is that the height of the eyes relative to the top to bottom height of the nose. So in a picture, we tend to just notice that the eyes look like they're up high, but the nose goes so far higher than the eyes themselves up into the brow. And so in this picture, if we just look at this zoomed out picture, we can see it almost looks like the eyes are intersecting the middle of the nose. If you were to draw a line at the bottom of the nose and then the top of where the bridge comes and connects to the brow, do you see how close the eyes are to the middle of that?
Yes, I do.
And,
I can tell.
Yeah,
I can tell it's there's certain, like you're talking about, there's precision things to that.
Yeah, but you can, the good news is you can know to look for them and dramatically and rapidly improve your human form work. So if we upload your picture right now, and let's grab that and do this. If anybody wants to give this app a spin, I made it. It's my website, colorapp.org. Just don't get mad at me if it breaks. Okay, now I'm going to go to draw mode. And so right here, okay, we're going to blow this image up, and we're just going to look at this. Let me see my line right here. Let's change to like we'll use a yellow line so we can see it real good. And we'll make this line size real small. Okay, eyes are right here, okay? And right here, we have an eye. I'm just estimating the middle of the dark shadow of the eyes. Nose, bottom of the nose here, top where it meets the brow right here. So look at how close to middle. They are above middle. They're above middle. So look for that every time. Every time you look at a face, look for that. And now if we go to your painting, we're going to do a line here at the top of the brow, a line at the bottom of the nose, a line on the eye, a line on the eye. Now, there is an amount of leeway. There's an amount of flexibility, but not that much. The truth is, we need things to be very close when we're looking for likeness. So that shape, that little robot shape, we got a little robot. Let's finish off. Yeah, we need to actually make it a robot. Just remember the robot when you're doing your human form.
I think it's R2D2.
There you go. Okay, just remember that. Okay, if we compare that shape to this shape, see, that
Yeah.
one's got the arms in the middle. This one's got the arms at the top. That is a huge difference maker. And so if you get that in place, another way to look at this is looking at the triangle. Looking at the triangle that goes from here to here to here to here. This is what stands out to me when I look at a face. You use whatever shapes you want to stand out. Now, if we go down to this one, and I got to hit the undo button. Okay, now if we go to this one, my prediction is this is going to be a much more spread out triangle. See, I touched the corners of the eyes with the diagonals like that. Okay, now I'm going to go up here and do it again. Touch the corners of the eyes with the diagonals like this. Drew a line under the nose, across the brows. Okay, do you see how the bottom triangle is squished more?
Yes, I do.
You see that, and so that's the okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's, I know that there's yeah, this is super helpful. I feel like I should just like erase the whole face and start again with that knowledge. But
well, before you do that, let me make a suggestion. Yeah, you can. I mean, I'm not against that.
No, let me hear your. I'm dying to know your suggestion. Please tell me.
Okay, it looks like you just kind of defaulted toward a narrow build on this, and so when you start with big shapes first, avoid looking at the small things before you look at the big things. So when I look at this shape here, I see a rounder form and a wider neck than this one. Okay,
yeah.
So if I imagine the shapes here, so all I would do in that case is just on this one, if I were adjusting the painting, I'd bring these neck colors out to here, I'd bring these cheek out to here, just widen these a little bit like this, and then I would drop the eyes down a little bit, and that right there is going to dramatically alter the likeness of.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But then on the other hand, it might be easier for you to just start over because you might, my reason in saying you could do that is because then you can just use the current relationship of nose to mouth and the height of the nose, because I think the height of the nose to the distance from mouth on yours is pretty consistent with this one. Let's examine it. Height of the nose to the distance from the mouth, like this. I'm just imagining that shape.
Yeah.
What would you call that shape? Okay. They don't look so different to me, so that I think where it started to get off was just in squishing things skinny this way and then making the eyes a bit too high. That's
okay.
all.
No, I like that idea. I like that. I don't want to totally erase the thing because then I'll end up trying to match my background colors and everything. And
yeah.
But that's a huge help. And so let me ask you one other thing is,
okay, what's that?
It doesn't look realistic. And what am I doing wrong that keeps it from like what's going to take it from that sort of cartoony, abstract looking to more real? What does that take?
It's what really instantly makes it have more of a cartoon feel are edges like this. Okay, and there's many of them on the painting. This edge right here is it's a sudden and stylized. It gives away the painted, illustrated look. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm trying to say realism needs to be accomplished. Because you're asking the question. Okay, so then a gradient like this, it really is just the softness of your gradients. That's what the real look boils down to, the softness, because your colors are really well done. These hair colors are spot on. I mean, I think those look really great. And so wherever I'm seeing sudden unblended lines, that's where I'm seeing the more illustrated look. So if I use my blend tool right here and I blend this nose softer like this, okay, that's one thing that's going to make this look more lifelike. It's just
Okay.
a more gradual blend. Be careful when you're doing these blends that you keep color in the transition. So this shadow is a little bit grayish. It can end up looking a bit like a zombie. So wherever you have blending, like between this shadow and this shadow here, you want to keep color in there. And so what I would have to do is maybe grab that color. If I was using paint, which this program is defaulted towards simulating paint, and that's why I'm getting colorless blending. So that's good, because now I can show what I'd have to do with real paint. I'd have to go get a color like this, less gray. And then we're going to put that color in this shadow, and then we're going to blend that color in here. It's just corrective blending is what it is. Restoring the color that you would expect to see on a natural face. There, see that shadow?
Oh yeah, yeah. It looks way. Oh my god, it looks way better.
Paint always loses color when it mixes compared to, not always, that's wrong, because blue and green make a really vivid green, but many colors, I'll just say, when mixing shadow with light, dark with light, you often lose colors that you don't want to lose, that you don't lose with natural light. And so I can do the same thing here. I can go over here and add color in the shadow, go back to the blending, there. You see, and that little bit of color in the shadow gives you the illuminated natural light look.
That's amazing. That's a huge difference already.
Okay, cool, good. So that combined with softer gradient, wherever you're seeing sharp edges like this, wherever you're seeing sharp edges like this, and combine soft gradients with adding color to the blend zones, and then you get the more photographic look.
Oh, I love it. All right, so one more question. I'll stop talking. But
yeah.
So you see the photo. If you see the photo, her whole face and neck look washed out to the point that I almost had to.
Oh, you add things in, yeah.
Add things in, or else it was going to look. I didn't know if I could pull off that. Look without adding at least some kind of color differentiation.
Right. I see what you're saying. So that's when it's really helpful to know what your generic face looks like. So if you are making your own face real quick, let's make a face here like this. We're going to make a face. Now this is my imaginary default face that I compare all faces to. I just make an oval shape. I make a jaw structure. Okay, now in that, I'm going to need some highlights. Okay, I didn't mean to make the lines this big. We're going to add color, we're going to add brightness, and we're going to shift it just a touch toward yellow. Maybe not quite that much. Okay, cheek right here. It's always kind of this diagonal line to form the eye. I go a bridge for the nose. I do 3 dots for the bottom of the nose. I do the maybe a little light for the upper lip, depending on where I want the nose shadow, just a little bit of light in there for an upper lip. And then I do a bottom lip, has a highlight on it. That's a bottom lip. And then I do a light on the chin right here. And then I'll have the upper area, brows, and a circle on the forehead. Those are my basic highlights. I know this looks nothing like the character you're trying to make. Okay, so out of that, if I start blending these down, I'm going to end up with some really key shapes. I'm going to end up with some triangle shapes. I'm going to grab an intermediate color right here and show you that I'm going to end up with triangle shapes on the cheeks that I can see in this photo right away. Same thing. So when I start blending these colors into each other, I'm real familiar with the shapes of the shadows. And that's what you need to fill in blank space that's not in the photo. You need familiarity with the common shapes of shadows. And so you can come into your picture and add these shapes in here. We're going to have a little shadow under the bottom lip, a triangle shadow under each cheek, some kind of a shadow under the nose, and then we're going to have the diagonal shadow that is right here. Here, let's put this lighter color again. Let's get this right here. Okay, there's the cheek. See the triangle that's under the cheek? That's what I'm trying to point out. Yeah. And then right here, let's make the line size smaller. and go like this. This is a dimmer color that's going to be on these edges, leaving that it leaves this line right here. It leaves that behind, that dark shadow that's right in here. And so this color goes up here like this, and we'll just kind of put it as a transition right in there. I'm just blocking out where these are so that you can see that this is the way I fill in blank information, because this is not new. This is memorized. This comes up here so that you kind of have a line here and then another line here, 1, 2. So you can develop this kind of an understanding of the shadows by drawing from photos and then using that study to form the way you draw from all other future photos. That is not a handsome looking person, but it's just defining where those things are. Okay, so I'm going to go over to your picture and I'm going to show that we have right here, see the triangle cheek shadow right there? There's the triangle. Okay, and then we have the, of course, with everybody, we'll see this diagonal line right there. We see a shadow under the nose, and all these are in the photo, but when they're real blurry, you can lose confidence in what you're seeing. But you can associate all these. So remember I said there's 2 lines on the cheek. Here's one line, here's the second line. Here's one line, here's the second line. And that one you don't even see, but you could put it in if you're just looking for additional stuff. Okay, then here's the bottom lip right here, and then here's the shadow under the bottom lip. Okay, let's go back over to the generic face. Here's the bottom lip. Here's the shadow under the bottom lip. You know, we have those 2 things. Here's my, let's just change the color of the line. Here's that. Here is the lower line, the upper line, lower line. See?
Yeah.
You see those same things on his face. So when you know to look for those, all it takes is just a blurry little spot and you know what you're looking at. And you know how to put them in to very believable places. So let's borrow this color and let's go like this. She's smiling, so the top line is going to go out more sideways. It's not going to go right to the corner of the mouth. It's going to flare a little bit. Here, let's make that one more like, a little more like brighter color. Let's do this.
I feel like
Okay.
I feel like I was trying to paint my daughter and I got a good painting of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, it ends up looking like somebody else. That's common. Yeah, you accidentally paint somebody else because it's sensitive criteria. Okay, so I'm putting these shadows in place. We're going to put a shadow there, and then I'm going to put a lower lip shadow. I'm just going to borrow a color you've already got on there for the lower lip, right here, like that. Okay. So these are places you can put those for the information. I'm not trying to say, there you go, now it looks like your daughter. You know, there's still all of the proportion changing that you're looking for. But the placement of those shadows is not going to look wrong because they're on like every face.
Right. Oh, that looks much better. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. And then this one, I would probably go, I'd probably grab one of your lighter colors, similar angle, similar color, chin. I like this is the circle that I put on that chin. Over here, see I put a circle on the chin. Okay, here I just put a circle on her chin. And here it's just a blurry light spot that's really more over to the right because of the light source. But I would say there's my circle right there. And of course, it's not literally a circle. This shape has changed, but I'm familiar enough to look for it. So I'd go over here to modify the shape of it. On her, it's more to the right here. Let's make the line a little bigger. A little more to the right here. Let's undo that one. It's more over here, and it comes up and highlights the side of the chin. That's the shape it is in the photo. Because of the side light. Yeah, okay. So these are like puzzle pieces. I put them together because I have the knowledge of the ugly person.
Do you mind zooming in that? I'm gonna take a picture of that real quick.
Oh, I'll just send it to you. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
I'll download it, and then I'll just send it to you in the email.
Oh,
like
okay. Thanks.
Here, just in case I fail. Where do you want me to zoom in?
Okay, we're right
like
there. Back out a little. Yeah, no, that's actually Perfect, right there.
Right there. Okay. All right, I'll do that just in case my email system fails. You can have your picture there.
Hold on, I'm just.
All right, great job though. This really is a very good picture. I'll keep that open for you.
Okay.
On the so that if it doesn't work, we'll make sure you get that picture. Okay. Was there any other?
I got the
was there
picture.
any other stuff? Okay, you got it, Chase.
Well, Ralu just sent you an email. There's a lot of photos, but I think she just wanted you to maybe look at one of them.
Oh yeah, you bet. Okay.
If you have time.
All right, Chase. Good talking to you, buddy. I'll see you later.
Okay. Thanks so much, Joe.
Okay. Am I looking at it in my email, Camilla? Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah. She sent it to your email.
Okay. We've got following message came from. I've got a message in Spanish from my website. I don't think that's the one. I'm not seeing I'm not seeing it. You gave an email to, what is the name I'm looking for here?
Ralu.
Ralu. Okay. How do I spell that?
R-A-L-U.
R-A-L-U.
U. And Chris.
R-A-L-L-U. I think maybe it just didn't come through.
Okay.
Oh, it's here. My drawings.
There we go.
I don't know how it got filtered, but it's here. Okay, so what are we looking at? I am Ralu, Chris from Romania. Welcome, Ralu. Okay, good to see you. So here, let's check out these pictures. We got a list of them here. Wouldn't that be funny if this was someone else? Hey, I like that. That is cool. This has a neat style to it. I like your quick hard line style. That's fun to look at. I like that. Okay. So is there anything specific that we're trying to look for with these?
I don't.
Good drawings.
I don't know. Ralu, is there anything specific?
Yeah, this beautiful perspective. I like your perspective on this. It's really nice. That's
nice
good.
car.
Yeah, that's cool. I like, man, these towns, we just don't have these here. You know, Arizona has I don't think any places like this, the roads that go up and down hills, narrow roads going up and down hills between brick buildings. I love that look. It's so cool. I'm sure you see plenty of it in Romania. Oh, that's cool. You added some watercolor to it. Nice. And this is a hard thing, getting lifelike colors. Watercolor is not simple. That's very nice. Good job with that.
Well, she just wanted advice.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to look through it and see if anything comes to mind. All right. Beautiful work. So with perspective, you probably already do this, but if I were working on perspective drawings a lot like this, I would definitely work from big to small, just like with the face. I would work from the biggest shapes to the smallest shapes, just to try to keep track, because things like this can happen, you know, where let's see if we can find the best example to look at. Ooh, that's cool. Nice. I like it. So you kind of combine drawing with watercolor. Beautiful. And a sailboat. Very good. Okay. You have a really good eye for the smaller shapes that make up the bigger shapes, but I can see in all of them there's not a lot, but just a little bit of the perspective getting skewed. And you could just call it style, and it's a great looking picture. So don't take it as criticism, because your pictures still look fantastic. But a simple example that I'm seeing to illustrate what I'm pointing out is this one here. So if I download that one and we reload this app here, and then we're going to upload your picture. Give me a second here. Let's upload that right here. And now the lines, if you just keep track of the bigger shapes first, then that can help you to make lines like this all go to similar vanishing points, assuming that you want these to look somewhat parallel. This one might go out to a vanishing point like that. And so then if this one goes up, then your supposed vanishing point might be there, but then this one is not following it. And so you might have sharper looking perspective if you developed these larger lines that you knew were going to be in your picture first. You already have done it. You already have done it well. But if you're looking for things that stand out to me, perspective really sticks out to me quick. So if I were going to do a quick modification on this picture, I'd probably go like this. I would take this picture, for example. I would first establish that I want a line of perspective that brings all three of these things together. I want this one to go this way. I want this one to go this way. I want this one to go this, all toward the same point. And I just choose wherever I want that point to be. So let's see what difference it makes when I go here and do that. So I'm going to take this color right here and just use it as an eraser. I'm going to erase that. I'm going to erase that and that and that. I'm going to go in here, erase these. I'm just using your paper color here as an eraser. And we go like this. I'm just going to change that line a little bit. We're going to take this line down just a little this way, like this. And then I'm going to take these lines. Let's take this right here, go a little further out this way, a little further out this way, a little further that way. And then your lines are going to be here. Okay. Let's go down just a little on that line size. And we're going to go like this, like that. That's going to change the vanishing point that's headed toward. Okay. And then I'm going to take this one right here and I'm going to move that. Let's take this color right here, do this, and then we'll take that line and make it more, we need it pretty much level to look like it meets that same vanishing point. So let's take this line right here, like this, make sure my line is nice and small. I'm going to just make it more level and do that same little shape you did right there, like that. Let's see how that works. Okay, so that's a real quick example of just trying to keep track of larger shapes first and then putting the smaller shapes inside of it. You know, I'm just trying to fill in the values you already had in there. So do you see how now with all of these more, you know, I'm not trying to tell you I'm not trying to tell you to perfect these things. I'm just saying, here's the difference it makes. Here's what stands out to me. So that might make a difference in the rest of the pictures as well. You might find that to be a helpful thing that you can add to them right there. So there is the one without it. So these three things don't tie together so well for me. But then when I do that little change, then it squares up the structure, makes it feel more natural. Okay, these are excellent pictures, and being able to get values with two tones, that is a really good skill there. You're doing the darkest shadows, the lighter ones. This is good drawing skills. I'm very impressed, Raul. Very good. Okay.
She's very happy for your advice.
Okay, good. I'm so glad you can make use of that. And thank you for watching the video. Okay, it's about time for me to wrap it up, unless I'm missing something. Camilla, tell me if I'm missing something.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
people are just saying that you explain things really well.
Thank you. I try
and
hard.
You do. I think so too.
Okay, thank you. That is a good compliment, and I appreciate it very much. It's important to me to explain things. I have always been very frustrated being on the receiving end of information that wasn't explained.
Yes.
I like to learn things. So thank you. I'm trying to always be better. I appreciate that. Okay, Camilla, thank you so much for helping. I'm going to get to the rest
You're
of
so
my
welcome.
weekend.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, okay, very good. We'll see everybody on Monday on superpeer.com.
Yes.
Monday, 8:30.